24. We remember we are on channel 394 on Go TV, that is Smart 24 TV, as well as our YouTube live stream, that is at Smart 24, that is our channel. And you can follow these top stories and the headlines on our social media platforms, that is hashtag financial markets, or at Smart 24 TV on Twitter, and of course Facebook, Smart 24 TV, of course official. And then of course you can also look into our Instagram, that is at smart24_TV, and follow for more of these stories. Now, drive towards cashless economy growing, according to Bank of Uganda. Now, the value and volume of digital payment systems has increased tremendously in the period ended March, according to Bank of Uganda. Now, during the year ended March, Bank of Uganda, you said that at the inaugural Financial Stability Symposium, that the data had indicated that both internet banking and mobile money, which are the flagships of online payments, had increased, signaling a steady growth in the pursuit of a cashless economy. Now, digital payments, which are also known as electronic or e-payments, involve no usage of cash. Speaking at the symposium in Kampala early this week, Bank of Uganda Deputy Director of National Payment Systems, that is Mr. Andrew Kawere, of course, said the impressive growth in the digital payment rhymes well with the central bank's strategic plan that seeks to turn Uganda into a cashless economy. During the year to the value of internet banking rising by 82.8%, increasing to 63.92 trillion, up from 34.97 trillion back in March 2021. And of course, while the active users increased from 848,691 in March 2021 to about 997.287, representing a growth of about 17.51%, meaning people are actually moving away from using physical money to using cashless. That is either mobile money, internet banking, crypto, in other words, which was also banned in Uganda recently. But similarly, the value of mobile money transactions rose by 46.5% and growing to about 145.6 trillion from the 101.5 trillion due to an increase in mobile money transactions from 3.7 billion in March 2021 to 4.5 billion in, of course, March 2022. During the period, Mr. Kawere said the systematically imported payment systems, which include the Uganda National Interbank Settlement System, automated clearing house, and central securities depository, operated without significant disruptions, noting that digital payments have been mainly driven by a favorable regulatory regime and evolving consumer behavior, accelerated by, of course, the COVID-19 restrictions and recovery into economic activity. However, he noted, that is Deputy General of course, National Payments at the, of course, Bank of Uganda, he noted that cyber threats remained an inherent risk for digital payments, and revealing that two banks, which he did not name, were affected by cyber fraud during the year. During this period as well, the value of mobile banking transfers stood at exactly 5.2 trillion Ugandan shillings, increasing from 2.11 Ugandan shillings in March 2021, representing a growth of 146.1% in this year. The volume of funds transfers stood at 1.72 million in March 2021, increasing to 2.77 million fund transfers, which represents a growth of 60.66%, while the active users rose from 1.13 million in March 2021 to 1.53 million, of course, in March 2022. During the period, active debit cards users increased from 2.59 million to 2.91 million, while the value of the debit card payments increased from 961.95 billion to about 1.19 trillion shillings, a growth of about 23.88% during the period. This shows a current steady trend into, a current trend of growth of the, cashless economy in the country, with people moving away from using cash to using their mobile phones, using their electronic payment systems or the e-payment systems, of course, with the help of internet banking and the like. Bank of Uganda also noted the active credit cards, however, declined from 10,481 in March 2021, of course, to 9,183 in March 2022, while the value of the payments rose from exactly 34.1 billion to about 59.7 billion, representing a growth of 74.89%. Now, point of sale. The volume in million stood at 2.9 in March 2021 and of course increased to 3.7 in March 2022, which translates to a growth of about 25.55%. And in terms of value, it decreased from 719.15 billion in March 2021 to about 711.58 billion, indicating a negative 1.05 percentage drop. Now, credit and debit cards during this period, the active debit cards holders arose from 2.59 million to 2.91 million. And of course, while the value of the debit card payments increased from 961.9 billion to 1.91 trillion, a growth of 23.88%. Now, Bank of Uganda also noted that active debit cards, however, declined from 10,481 in March 2021 to 9,183 in March 2022. However, the value of payments rose from 34.1 billion shillings to 59.7 billion shillings, representing a growth of 74.89%. The point of sale transactions rose from 2.9 million in 2021 March to 3.7, translating into a growth of 25.55%. However, the value of sales dropped from 719.15 billion to 711.58 billion, indicating a steady rise, of course, in the cashless transactions in Uganda compared to the cash economy that we were before, of course, 2020. And of course, this can be explained a lot more by us, going through the COVID-19 pandemic, where we could no longer access, the market, we could no longer go on our own in the streets and buy our own food. So we resolved to using online payment systems. And this is explaining the current growth in the, online, systems and the e-payments, and of course the usage of debit and credit cards. Remember, now we can use a debit or credit card to get payments, to make payments, even on things like, grocery in the supermarket. You could use your debit or credit card. And so that can be accessed through various ways, which you can actually make more research on. But the whole point here is we are moving away from the cash economy to more into a cashless economy, where we no longer use physical money, but we use digital money. And of course, this is the new age, which is coming up. And of course, if you don't embrace it, you may be delayed. And as well, when we come to the stock market, we are now moving away from still physical payment, where you have to carry your money to your stockbroker and pay. No, you can use your mobile money. We have seen that with Zabu. We have seen that with the CSD accounts and the SCD accounts created by several brokers who actually tailor their customers' transactions through either mobile money or through agent banking or through electronic payment systems, that is the e-banking and e-payment systems and so on. So We should embrace the digital age, and it's high time, I think, as Ugandans, we started looking at these means of transactions as a daily thing, as something we do for a living. And of course, the world is moving towards this. If we don't move with it, we may be delayed, and that is not good for the growth. Now, another story, of course, here making headlines is that license fees for banks have been increased. Now, Bank of Uganda has also increased the license fee of supervised financial institutions in a bid to harmonize the licensing regime without the East African Community member states. Now, according to Bank of Uganda, annual supervision reports last week, the central bank said in November last year, it had revised the annual licensed fees for commercial banks, credit institutions, and micro deposit taking institutions, with the rates taking effect in January this year, 2022. For instance, the report indicated that license applications fees for a new commercial bank rose from 2 million Ugandan shillings to about 50 million Ugandan shillings, while that of a new credit institution increased from 2 million to about 30 million. And of course, a new micro deposit taking institutions is now required to pay over 20 million, down from 2 million. Existing commercial banks, credit institutions, and micro deposit taking institutions, the report notes, will pay 0.05% of their gross annual revenue when they seek a renewal of their license. The move, the central bank said, is part of a wider plan to harmonize banking regulations within East African Community. The East African Community has been pursuing a number of changes in, of course, a bid to harmonize the bloc's financial systems, and as the bloc pushes for the attainment of a single currency by the end of the year 2024. While addressing the business community in Kinshasa, that is DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, East African Community Affairs Minister Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala said that the region was on track to achieve a single currency by the year 2024. Meanwhile, the report also indicated that during the period ended December 2021, bank branches increased from by about 46 from 566 in 2020 to about 614 branches in this year, along with an increase of 46 automated teller machines, that is ATMs, and operated by commercial banks from 837 to 886. The increase was largely due to the Post Bank's transformation into a commercial bank, which increased its network to over 56 branches, supported, of course, by 55 automated teller machines. During the period, Central Bank also noted that commercial banks had registered their strongest growth in credit, which expanded by 8.8% to about 17.7 trillion. While credit by micro deposit taking institutions increased by about 2.3%. Credit institutions saw loans expand by about 58.4% as well. Credit institutions reduced from 5 to 4 following the transformation of Post Bank into a commercial bank, followed by a decrease in assets held by credit institutions by 647.7 billion from 1.062 trillion. Net loans and advances under the credit taking institutions dropped by 338.8 billion to about 235.9 billion, while total deposits reduced by about 367.4 billion to about 226.3 billion. During the period, the central bank indicated that the micro deposit taking institutions subsector comprised of 4 microfinance whose, of course, total assets marginally increased by about 3.6 billion from the 743.3 billion Ugandan shillings to about 746.6 billion Ugandan shillings, largely due to the increase in investment in government securities. And that is what we're talking about here. Investment in government securities has contributed to this increase in revenue for the banks. The total liabilities decreased by about 1.3 billion from 538.5 billion to 537.2 billion, mainly due to decrease in the 28.6 billion in long-term borrowing. Those are some of the stats coming in from the Bank of Uganda regarding commercial banks, as they see a reduction in an increase in their licensing fees in order to meet the East African Community goal of acquiring a single currency by the end of the year 2024 to smoothen trade, as well as banking, trading in terms of securities, trading on the capital and money market, trading across borders with a single currency. So we'll be following up with that as well later on. But as you know, if you're a credit institution right there, if you're micro-taking institution, you need to take note that the licensing fees held by Bank of Uganda have been increased so that they can achieve a goal of a single currency by the end of the year 2024. That is as well, still talking about, transactions. And remember the story we talked about, Bank of Uganda seeing a trend in the growth of course, financial markets. Now, this morning, unfortunately, when we cross to the foreign market, the cryptocurrency has fallen sharply for the very first time. Now, cryptocurrency markets have crashed to a new low this year today. The global market capitalization has shrunk to about 1.02 trillion US dollars from about 1.1 trillion recorded yesterday. The global cryptocurrency market capitalization has fallen by around $1 trillion US dollars this year, while almost every top coin is now worth half or even less than their all-time highs. The immediate trigger for the crypto crash appears to be a massive sell-off by investors amid heightened inflation fears. Investors are also continuing to stay away from riskier assets, which is reflecting in the stock markets as well, in the international stock markets as well. Bitcoin, which is the biggest and of course most popular cryptocurrency, has fallen to 25,586 US dollars, while the most all-time altcoins, starting from the Ethereum, are bleeding prices, of course, during the price weekend. Ethereum has fallen to its lowest level in more than 14 months, trading currently at around $1,000, 350 US dollars at the time of writing. Now, Solana has fallen by about almost 30% and is hovering around $29 US dollar mark. Experts say that the cryptocurrency price plunge indicates a falling price or falling risk appetite for investors. They are clearly wary of risky assets. With all its uncertainties and volatilities, crypto is considered as one of the most volatile instruments for investment purposes. The crypto market has been under pressure from the Federal Reserve, that is the Central Bank of the United States, hiking the interest rate to combat inflation over the past few months. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and most cryptocurrencies suffered losses over the weekend after a broad sell-off following the data showing the US inflation hitting a 40-year high, said that is according to Mr. Edul Patel, who is the co-founder and CEO of crypto investment platform Madrix. Now, as investors seem to have panicked, the number of crypto liquidations has been high since Friday, and Bitcoin and Ethereum plummeted as much as 7% each and are currently trading at their lowest at about 25,000 US dollars. That is their lowest, record lowest. Yeah. and of course 1,300 for Ethereum. Considering the fact that Bitcoin has once traded at 50,000, now it came at around 30,000, and now it's down to 25,000 US dollars. That is a whooping loss. Now the bearish, of course, the bearish trend may actually likely continue in the next coming days, he added. While altcoins have historically underperformed Bitcoin, this time they have, of course, an added pressure of potential regulatory roadblocks. A report by CoinDesk, which is quoted an expert as saying that only a small number of altcoins are likely to survive such market movements. Shivam Thakral, who is the CEO of crypto exchange BuyUcoin, said that the rising food and gas and energy prices are putting tremendous pressure on the crypto market, as Bitcoin and Ethereum have witnessed double-digit losses in the past 24 hours. Well, after the consumer price index reported the highest inflation since 1981, financial markets across the globe have seen a sharp downturn. Of course, that's according to Mr. Thakral, who is the CEO right there of a cryptocurrency investment company. The market is expected to remain choppy in the coming weekend, of course, in the coming weeks as well, and the countries around the globe continue to report high inflation numbers. The current dip in crypto prices, of course, allows investors to buy cryptocurrency at 2021 prices, and we expect the seasoned investors to take advantage of the dip and buy cryptos. Now, according to Mr. Dashan Bathija, who is the CEO of crypto exchange Vold, most investors worry that unless inflation numbers start dropping soon, the US Federal Reserve Bank may have to tighten reins by increasing interest rates at a faster pace than anticipated. Bitcoin alone faced yet another significant correction, dropping to nearly over 25,000 US dollars, the lowest it has ever hit over the past 5 months. Interestingly, the dollar index that is also at a 6-month high, gaining 2% in the last day alone, of course, leading to a drop in the stock and crypto markets. On the daily time frame, that is the BTC trend, has broken below the long-formed triangle pattern. And of course, an immediate and key support is expected at 24,000 US dollars. That is the story coming in from crypto enthusiasts. If you are a crypto enthusiast and you've been investing in crypto, here is very not so good news, but as well good news for seasoned investors as they see it as an opportunity. Crypto is crumbling, and of course, as we talk about risk here on the program, we say financial markets sometimes can get risky. Look at the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a completely decentralized currency, a digital asset where you invest probably in this, in a certain coin, maybe Bitcoin, Ethereum, Luna, and so on, and all these other coins, hoping for a price increase. But now the price could decrease just after you've bought those coins, and so that would lead to tremendous amounts of losses. So currently, cryptocurrency dealers are facing losses due to the sharp drop in the share price, in the prices of the Bitcoin and the Ethereum coins. And so this trend could go on due to, of course, various factors, including the increase in interest rate by the United States Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of the United States, which almost controls the strength of the dollar. And of course, due to the increase in prices of food and fuel and energy around the world, many economies are grappling with, of course, these economic problems. So investors are running away and they're trying to pull out and liquidate their crypto currencies. And this has led to, buying out of cryptocurrencies, and this selling of cryptocurrencies has dropped their value to now seeing that Bitcoin is currently trading at 25,000 US dollars from 30,000 US dollars. Of course, we'll be following up with that and more stories right there. We'll go into a short break. We'll return, of course, with now the stock markets around Africa, the Nairobi, the Nigeria Stock Exchange, and other stock markets, giving you a little bit of what's happening elsewhere on the continent. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.